Hello, hello, my lovelies. How are you? How are you doing? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since I've done a Shanny and Rev video, like a month or so, something like that. How are y'all doing? Missed you. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Um, I just went through a nightmare with Twitter. Let me just say, it was on what, like the 7th, so like Monday. I was in the middle of like replying to a tweet or something like that, and I got kicked out of my Twitter account. And I was like, "Uh-oh, did I say something and get suspended?" But I didn't get any email saying that I had been suspended or whatever. But I did get a message saying that my account was possibly compromised and that I needed to log in and change my password. So I was like, "Uh-oh, someone tried to hack me." And I have spent the last 2.5 days trying to change that damn password, get back into my account. Finally, this afternoon, I got to do it. So my link for Twitter is down below if you want to follow me. But oh my God, like somehow, I think what the problem was is that somehow the email that I registered my Twitter account was no longer attached to my Twitter account. So when I was logging in to try and change my password, they weren't reading that my password or that my email was still attached to my account. And I was like, but this is my email. What's going on? I don't understand. And then finally I emailed them and I'm like, look, so these are the three emails that I use. It could be any one of these three. As you can see, they're like two of them have my name in it and then one has my username in it. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. I have tried all three, and all three of them are coming back saying that there is no username attached to them. So I don't know what's going on. But then I got an email this afternoon saying that they have reattached my original email to my Twitter account. So somewhere along the line, my email was deregistered from my account. And that was the problem. So that's all sorted out. I'm back in my account. I changed my password, but apparently somebody tried to hack me. So it was like, ugh. I got to the point where I was ready to give up and just send them an email and say, can you suspend my account? Because if you're not going to let me back in, I don't want my pictures of my kid unavailable for me to go in and delete. So, hi, Krista. I'm good. I'm good. Things have been really well. I've been really busy. Like now that we're out at the trailer, we're spending a lot of time outside. The last couple of days, not so much because it's been really rainy and crappy and stuff. But for the most part, we are spending a lot of time outside, and I'm not spending a lot of time on the internet. So I mean, that's a fairly good thing. Right now, my kid is outside playing in the field with her toys, which is like right behind our trailer, and like she's having a great old time. It is getting kind of hot though. So, what are we looking at today? So, if you are behind on the news, it seems that on the 8th of June, Rev got himself into a little bit of trouble and found himself in handcuffs and got hauled off to jail. And I watched Shanny's live last night, or yeah, the first live that she did when she kind of told everybody what was going on. That apparently the reason why Rev was arrested is because he kicked Shanny's son, the youngest one, the autistic one, in the stomach and the head, which is absolutely disgusting. Like how you can do that to a child, autistic or not, is just disgusting. But there's a lot of stuff about what Shanny's telling us and what we're seeing in the arrest records, and things aren't really matching up. The biggest one being apparently the incident happened on the 4th of June, but Jason wasn't arrested until the 8th of June. So there's a 4-day window there where there were no police called. So if Shanny's so upset and in this abusive relationship and, yada, 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 why did it take her 4 days to call the cops and get him arrested? Like that's okay, honey. How are you? I see my husband here. This is my husband. I chose 3:30 as a streaming time because it's just after his lunch break, so that way he's able to listen while he's at work. Rev is a dick, but I don't believe he kicked him. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of people saying, well, not a lot of people, but like I watched the Geek Room review Shanny's video last night, and Frank pulled up the arrest record, and there's no, like, in the actual charges, there's nothing that say assault on a minor, which you'd think that if he actually did kick the boy either in the head or the stomach or both, that somehow a minor would be in the charges there somewhere. So there's speculation that, number one, that it was the older son that actually called the police, and two, that Rev is actually covering for Shanny, that it was actually Shanny that got slappy with the boys, and Rev's just kind of taken the fall for it. So I don't really know what's going on. Now, Frank has put in a request to get I think the body cam footage, just basically more details on what happened. I think he also requested a copy of the call to the police, which I didn't know you could do, but apparently you can. So I'm hoping that once Frank gets that information, we'll have more details of actually what's happened, because you know that we can't trust what Shanny says, right? She lies through her teeth all the time, and how much she played the victim yesterday, we can't believe her, right? Because it's probably just a lot of an act. So plus, what mother doesn't get her son checked out after being kicked in the head? Oh, exactly. Like, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing that would be a deal breaker in my relationship with my current husband. That if he hit any one of, his two stepkids or our daughter that we have together, if he ever harmed her physically in any way, like, that would be deal breaker, like, right away. So the fact that Shanny yesterday was bawling her eyes out and saying that she's never going to let him back in, that's it, he's done, blah, blah, blah. And then today made a video kind of making excuses for him, because I watched about 14 minutes of today's video. And she's just kind of backpedaling for a lot of the things that she said yesterday. So a lot of this bullshit's just really not adding up. So we know that Jason's arrested. We know the charges that he's been arrested for. We don't really know all of the details of what's happened. So we're going to kind of dive into Shanny's Instagram live from today to see if we can kind of maybe figure out some more details. He'd be in so much more trouble, especially when a kid with special needs is involved. Oh, absolutely. Like, that's was kind of a tip off to me. Like, when Frank put up the arrest record, that there was nothing about a minor in there. Like, nothing. Court dates June 21st. That's good to know. So hopefully we'll have some more information there. Domestic violence is wrong, but child abuse is a whole nother level. Absolutely. And I mean, it could possibly be for something like, because Shanny has several other domestic violence charges, that in order to keep her out of jail, Rev's taken the fall for it. You know what I mean? So he could be covering for her because she has a history, but we don't really know, right? Hopefully when Frank gets more information, like especially when he gets the call to the police, we can find out who it was that called and confirmed whether it was Shanny herself or if it was Zach, like it's being speculated, and kind of get the details of what really happened. She even said, I know things aren't adding up. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, she knows. So she's got to play defense now after that whole spiel that she did yesterday, to kind of cover up. And it's kind of like, how can you in 24 hours do such an extreme flip-flop? You know what I mean? And then it calls into question, her stability. Like, how can you in 1 minute sit there and tell everybody that your boyfriend beat your child, you don't want anything else to do with him because you got to keep your baby safe, and then turn around and backpedal and start making excuses for him? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about anybody else, but my mama bear instinct would kick in, and there would be no way I would be making excuses for any man that laid hands on my children. Just, it wouldn't happen. Hi, dude brothers, how are you? So let's get into what Shan here has to say and see if we can kind of pick out some of the inconsistencies in her story. Oh, there's a very loud truck going on. I'm streaming inside today because we have had so much rain in the last couple of days that it is kind of a swamp of my yard right now. And yeah, I didn't want to take the computer out there. Shanny outweighs Rev by a fair amount, and you're going to tell us you did nothing. Yeah, right. That's another thing too that I didn't think of. Like, how could you sit back and just let somebody attack your child? Like, I'd be getting right in there. And from what Rev has said in the past, when Shanny's mad and she means business, she can move fast and she can do damage, right? So where was Shanny in all of this? What was she doing? Why did she just sit back and not do anything about it? Because I mean, I'm sorry, like I'd be kicking a man's ass until the cops got there if they hurt my children. Like that's just the way it is. Uh, Now that you mention it, just sounds like Shanny would do. Have someone take the fall and vandalize that for personal gain. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like we saw, was I can't remember if it was Drag or if it was Geek Room that posted the screenshots of the conversation that she had um, about how she wants to become big on YouTube and and all that stuff. And so we know what her end goal is she wants to be famous on YouTube and she wants to make lots of money. And I mean, if we're going to be honest, since she hasn't come back to YouTube and she's been streaming on Instagram and Odyssey and all that, she hasn't really been in the spotlight. Like some of us kind of for a bit covered Shanny, like old Shanny videos, but she was kind of out of the spotlight for quite a while, right? And that probably had a major effect on the donations and shit that she had coming in. So, let's cause a stir, let's cause, some big controversy and incident and get ourselves back in the limelight so that we can grift for more money, right? Because that's just kind of how Jason and Shanny have always operated. They'll cause a big issue, cause a big stink, get everybody all riled up, and then use that to their advantage to try and weasel money out of their audience. Shanny is the one that's been arrested for physical violence a couple times. Yeah, I believe she has 3 domestic violence charges on her record. So, I mean, it would kind of make sense that instead of having another charge put on Shanny and possibly having her have to deal with more jail time, um, that Rev take the fall for it, right? So I guess we won't really know more until Frank gets some more information or, we get details about what happened as a result of the court date. I don't really know. But I mean, ultimately, hopefully this is used as a way to get those boys out of that home and somewhere safe, right? Because it's one thing for Shanny and Rev, 2 garbage people, to go at each other and abuse each other, and for us to kind of point out their nonsense and, kind of put that out there and talk about that. But like when it boils down to it, there's 2 young boys that are in smack in the middle of all this, and they're suffering for it, right? So, I mean, hopefully this garners enough attention for Pennsylvania CPS to actually do something for these boys so that they don't have to live in this nonsense anymore and that, they can actually try and have some somewhat normal lives or maybe get some therapy or, something. But I mean, if the authorities don't step in, those boys are, I mean, they're already super damaged because of what she's done to them. And this is just kind of adding to it, right? So she took Rev's magic cards and said 52 pickup. That wouldn't surprise me. Like, okay, so I'm not saying that is an excuse. Okay, so let's just say hypothetically, Rev actually did physically hurt Zachary. I'm not saying that there is any excuse for that whatsoever, but she's adding to the problem if that's actually true and she is instigating, because we've seen it before about how she really goes out of her way to push his buttons, So she uses her mental illness as an excuse to be a victim, but then turns it around and says that Rev can't use his mental illness as an excuse, right? So they're kind of, they're shit people. Both of them are shit people, So uh, they're hiding from CPS. And Rev kicking a minor would definitely negate CPS. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that when the police showed up at their door and actually was in their house to see what state it's in, that would hopefully, prompt some CPS involvement. But I don't know how Pennsylvania CPS works, so I couldn't tell you. Mostly because locals are a dime a dozen and their time in the spotlight lasts less than a minute. The only one who stayed relevant is Chris Chan because that dude never learned and he did kick shit. Yeah. Hi, Spooky. How are you? All right, let's take a look and see. Let me guys know if you have a hard time hearing it.
Yo. What's up, wise guy? How you doing, honey? Like, I got some shit to fucking say, bros.
They are in Rev's childhood home, the
I
one that
got
they
some
sold to Gary.
fucking shit to say. Because, let's just say the stuff I'm going through right now, the stuff my sons are going through right now, the stuff that Jason is going through right now, like my family's all fucking fucked up, jumbled up. Not even that, but Gavin too. That cat is so fucking depressed right now. He's been waiting at the front door, sleeping by it for days, or for 2 days now. He hasn't slept.
She contradicts herself in just a single sentence. He's been sleeping by the door for 2 days, but he hasn't slept. Because, shit like that makes sense, right?
He misses the fuck out of Jason. So I'm
He just
dealing
probably
with a
wants to get out.
depressed ass fucking
Oops.
cat too. You
With G
know?
Man, as far as I know, it's possibly with G Man. There's a question of G Man living in the basement. Don't really know, but it's G Man's house. It's been confirmed that it's the house that they gave to G Man. So it's Rev's childhood home. Who cares if a cat is depressed? What about those kids? Yeah, I know. Like there's Gavin is like multitudes higher on the priority list than the children are. They prove that time and time again.
Everybody
I'm gonna have
missing
to
each
speed her up a
other.
bit because this
Everybody
is a
wanting
long.
to be healthy mentally. Yo. So, get this shit. I get a motherfucking email, right? I'm about to expose motherfucker, right? I get a freaking email. And this email
Yeah, right, Krista.
is from Real Stream News. In this email, he asked me to exploit my situation for $300.
I mean, okay, so she's like, exploit my situation. She was on video yesterday going on and on and on about every detail of the situation. Why not make a bit of money off of it when you're so desperate? I mean, hey, if you've changed your mind about Rev, it can go towards bail money, right? Like,
And
oh, she did yesterday
I
too.
decided I usually don't email people back when they do shit like that, but I decided to email back. And I told him to fuck off. I told him I don't exploit motherfuckers
Oh,
like you
yes, you
do.
do.
It's fucking disgusting. You know? These people are fucking heartless. Straightforward, these drama whores. They're fucking heartless, bros. Fucking heartless. Like, you would think they would have the capacity
I
to
noticed how she tried to say capacity and compassion at the same time, so it came out capacity.
fucking understand, to allow a family to process things and go through things and to figure things out, to lower emotions and
Oops, I can do this. Honest. Why can't I? There we go. Oh, don't understand why she wouldn't have her son checked out medically, not only to make sure he's okay, but to make it. Would it not be pertinent for having Rev charged? Yeah, exactly. Like, you would think that that would be part of the process, because not only to make sure that, because if you got kicked in the head, that's a concussion risk. Head injury is like a big deal, right? But for evidence that he actually did it, right? So, I mean, that's the first kind of loophole in her story is, where was the medical care for Zach? You know what I mean? And like, if let's just say that's the case, that, okay, so Rev did actually hurt the boy and she didn't get him medically checked out, that should be something that's faulted against her for neglect. Because if your son is assaulted and you don't get him medical care, well, why not? Why don't you care about your kid enough to get him checked out immediately after he's assaulted, right? So, I mean, her story just doesn't add up. Oops, I gotta try and make sure I'm on the right screen when I'm hitting buttons.
And just, work things out amongst each other the way it
Krista.
needs to be. You would think they'd realize that,
I'd rather be called a drama whore than be guilty of using my kids as meat shields and props. Yep. Condemning them to years of misery and baggage. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what she's done to these boys. And like, how often she talked about William's sexuality and him coming out as gay. Like, first of all, she came out in public and kind of told everybody that he was gay instead of allowing William to talk about that. Like, did she have his permission to out him? You know what I mean? And then now she's using it to work into the story to make Rev out to be a villain. So I mean, she takes aspects of her kids' lives and uses it to her advantage to, again, make Shanny look like the biggest victim.
Comes to family tragedies, you allow the people to go through it while supporting them at the same time. That motherfucker, he emails me back and says he's my friend. Really?
And for all of you that don't know or maybe haven't seen it, Real Stream News is the stream, the channel that she went on where she flashed her titties to everybody. She got mad at Real Stream News and pulled up her shirt and flashed her boobies. And let me tell you, that was not something I wanted to see. I can never unsee that image now, but it's there. And he took her off the screen, and apparently she was flashing her downstairs as well. So, I mean, we got spared from seeing the blue waffle, but she still was flashing those saggy titties all over. So, I mean, the fact that Real Stream News is at this point still inviting you back to his channel and offering you money to do so, you should be a little grateful for that, because if it were me, hell no, I wouldn't be inviting you to my channel ever again.
Really? Yeah, and I do it by blocking your ass. How about that?
Mandated reporters. Yep, well, you're Canadian, so, and I'm Canadian.
So, like, I don't, like, fuck that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that would be the fact that you didn't get your child medical attention after they were attacked would be a huge mark against you. And I would hopefully assume that the same would be in the U.S. $5 says she bullies Will behind closed doors for being gay. If her brother was a target because of yeah, absolutely. She's using, and like, I mean, do we even know if Will is gay for sure? Like, is she could just be saying that to, again, exploit him and make herself out to be, oh, look, I'm the mom of a gay son, I support him, yada yada yada. You know what I mean? Like, how do we know that she's not using that to try and garner sympathy from her audience? I've seen Shanny and Rev in their birthday suit on Twitter. Me too, Krista. I got curious the one day, and I got too curious for my own good, and unfortunately, I regret it.
That shit, man. I ain't dealing with people's shit today. I don't got the patience.
Then why are you online making videos?
Like, it's so gross for people who want to exploit others' tragedies. It's so gross. Like, $300, really? How much are you actually making? That's the question. I definitely know with your views, with your super chats you
See,
get, you
it
definitely are
all
getting way more
boils
than
down to money
$300 for
again
it.
for her.
Like, I bet it's not even 5% of what you're actually going to make if I actually did the video, right?
Alistair. Me too, under my clothes.
Like, uh, I don't know. But it's like, I'm asking people right now to, like, give me and my family privacy so we can process shit.
Give me privacy. I'm going to give all the intimate details about what happened. My story's not going to make sense, but please give me privacy. If you wanted privacy, you wouldn't have posted and you wouldn't have been live yesterday and today. Simple as that. It's not an issue for her. She wants to be in the spotlight. But again, she's trying to twist the narrative to make herself look like the victim.
So we can
Oh, happy
allow our
birthday.
emotions and thoughts to become clear and logical. Because I'll straight up say this. Yesterday, I couldn't think correctly. I couldn't function. I was depressed.
That's every day for you, Shanny.
I was crying. You know, there was no logic, no logical thinking at all.
Guaranteed what happened is she was sitting there. Rev got carted off. And she did mention this briefly in her video. She panicked because she realized now that she was going to have to be the one to take care of her boys. And she can't do that because she's bedbound, right? So even though she had Rev around, he was her little errand boy. He was the one to go out and get groceries. He was the one to fetch things for her. You know, he was basically the little errand boy for her. And unless G-Man is willing to step up and take that place, she's going to have to be the one to take care of her kids. She's going to be the one to figure out, well, how am I going to get groceries? How am I going to do this? How am I going to take care of the boys? I don't have Rev here to order around to do the things that I should be doing as a mother. Guaranteed that was part of her issue.
None. It was pure emotion, not even pure emotion, but more importantly, pure heightened emotion, you know? And I know when I'm in an emotional, heightened state, that's not a time to make any decisions. That is not a time to make any actions. It is a time.
It's not a time to make any actions, but I'm going to get on camera and tell the world that everything that's going on in my head right now. Like, she's not consistent in any way, shape, or form.
To sit, to process what you're going through, and like, seriously,
Shanny's parents said everyone always took care of the boys because Shanny wasn't around or she just wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. And you know that that's kind of what's going on, is like she's realizing that without Jason there, she has to be the one to step up because she doesn't have anyone else to take care of the boys for her because she's driven everybody else off. So unless Gary is willing to step up and be daddy to those boys, she's going to have to take care of them herself. And we all know that she's not willing to do that.
They don't even understand what it's like to go through shit, man. Thank you, Crash.
Yeah, because you're the only one that's ever gone through shit, Shanny. Give me a break.
Thank you. Like, don't even understand. A lot of people don't understand, like, mental illness and how it affects people. Like,
no, Shanny, you are the only one that understands mental illness and what it's like to live with mental illness. Give me a fucking break. Trust me. There's lots of us out there that deal with mental health on a daily basis. But we don't put all our intimate details online about it, and we don't use it as a crutch to grift people for money online. But Shanny can't say that, can she? There are babies with bone cancer. Yep, exactly. Like Shanny always wants to play this narrative that she's the only one that knows who's going through this. She's the only one that's ever, experienced hardship or mental illness or domestic violence. She's a unicorn, and, fuck everybody else that's gone through the same thing as her.
And a lot of people don't understand how families can stay together regardless of mental illness. Like, they just think just because you have mental illness, you have to abandon someone or hate them for it. Or,
no one says that. No one says that. I mean, if that were the case and that's what people were saying, my husband would have left me a long time ago. Long time ago, because I was diagnosed with my mental illness the year that my husband and I got together, and he's been nothing but supportive since then. And it'll be, in October it'll be 10 years that we've known each other. So, I mean, it's no one says that. I've not actually ever heard anybody say that.
Put all the stigmas on all this fucking shit, and it's like, dude, that's not real life.
Right, dude brothers, like, who's they?
That's not reality. Reality is if a family member of yours is sick, regardless of what fucking happened.
See, now this is where I started, because I watched about 14 minutes of this, and I was like, ooh, she's turning. She's now trying to put across that she's going to now support Jason because he's mentally ill. Why would you do that if you beat your kid? Like, what does that say to your sons? If you're going to forgive Rev and support Rev in his mental illness after he beat your child. Like, it's one thing to support somebody that has a mental illness, but it's a whole nother thing to support somebody who doesn't take care of themselves and deal with their mental illness, and then they beat your child. Like, there's a line there that Shanny is really, really blurred. Ever notice how she always is able to diagnose everybody else's mental health problems? Oh yeah, she thinks she's an expert. And that she thinks she has some psychology degree because Jason is more important than her kids. Yeah. Well, it's not that Jason's more important than the kids. It's that Jason is more useful to her than the kids. Right? Because I honestly think that Shanny would ditch Jason if she had somebody else lined up to take his place. But right now, there's nobody willing to step into that role. So she needs him for her day-to-day life, right? She needs him as a caregiver for the boys and for herself. Like, who's going to wipe her ass if Jason's in jail?
You help them.
See, like, she went from one extreme to the other to, I'm not going to let Jason do this to me. I'm not going to let another human being ever treat me this way again. I don't want to have anything to do with him. It's just going to be me and the boys. To now, I'm not going to abandon Jason because of his mental illness. That's wrong to do. So it's like, why are we flip-flopping, Shanny? And I say this as somebody who has, dear computer, please cooperate with me. There we go. Jesus Christ. It is a day, let me tell you. And as I say this as someone who has disabilities and disorders, I have a fucked up head, but I never use it as an excuse to hurt people. Yeah. And there's lots of us out there that experience that and go through that and live that every day, and we don't use it to hurt people. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a big difference between using your mental illness as a cover to be able to hurt people and, not address it. But I don't, the way that she uses her mental illness is just one of those things that really, really irks me, because there is such a stigma out there about people with mental illness, and all she's doing is adding to that. She's fitting that stereotype to a T. And Jason isn't useful anymore because she bankrupted him. Yes, he's really not. But again, an errand boy. Go out and get my things. Go out and get us groceries. Go out and do this. Go out, you know what I mean? So even though he might not financially be useful anymore, he's still physically useful for her in ways that she can't for herself, right? Jeez, wouldn't want that job. Oops. Let's try and be on the right screen here, Mindy.
You help them. You make your family member, if they have acted in bad behavior, you make them realize they acted in bad behavior. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes jail is necessary to correct bad behavior, because they go to jail, they have to go to the court system, and they're forced to get the help that they need compared to just sitting on it,
See, and the thing is now he's going to get the help that he needs. But Shanny doesn't support that in any way, because if you remember back to the video where Rev was actually threatening to shoot them all, he was begging her to go to the hospital, which was a cry for help, which was an attempt to deal with his mental illness. And what did she do? She didn't let him go, right? So, would this situation have ever happened if Shanny had actually allowed Rev to deal with his mental illness? No, she was a roadblock to that. And yet here she is trying to preach that, oh, well, he should be in jail, so that'll teach him a lesson so that he can actually deal with his mental illness, when she was directly the one who prevented that for him.
So I'm glad this happened in a lot of ways, because now the court's going to force Jason to get better. And he needs to get better, because he's like, truly, he's not an evil person. He's not.
It's going to force you to allow him to get better, because you're not going to be able to prevent him from getting the mental help that he needs. So the courts are going to force it. Even though I was formally diagnosed until I was ready for college, folks taught me to see it as another hoop to jump through. Yep. So I hope that Rev tells her to kick rocks after he gets the situation dealt with. In a perfect world, yes. But according to Shanny, as he was getting hauled away in handcuffs, he was saying, "I love you, baby. I love you, baby." So makes you wonder. And it also makes you wonder, too, if this is Rev taking the fall for her, is he really going to go anywhere? You know what I mean? Because Rev is just as incompetent as Shanny is, and they are codependent on each other. So is Rev actually going to be able to function on his own? Who's going to take care of him? Is he going to have to fall back on his uncle to take care of his ass because he's incapable of doing it himself? I don't know. And that brings up the good question of, where does the uncle fall into all of this? How does the uncle feel? Obviously, he's probably been made aware of what's going on. But is he going to step in and, give Jason an ultimatum and be like, "You're not going back, yada, yada. I will help you, but you've got to stay away," type thing. Because that would be a better situation for Rev, I think. That would be a way for Rev to be able to get the help that he needs, to have a family member step in and say, "Guess what? You need to separate yourself from this situation. Otherwise, you're going to end up spending the rest of your life behind bars." If she lets him back, then obviously she doesn't love those kids. Oh, no, absolutely not. There's going to be a lot of questions of her integrity if she allows him to come back. You know what I mean? And I really hope, I'm really hope in the ultimate outcome of this is that CPS takes those boys out of the house. Because if she's going to allow the abuser, the so-called abuser of her boys, back into that house, then she's not fit to parent them, and they do not need to be there. You know what I mean? So if this is all true, it might come down to Rev won't be allowed to come back. He'll be forced to stay away because he assaulted Zachary. So, and then Shanny's going to have to come up with a reason to explain that, okay, well, if Rev comes back to the house, how is that possible? How is that legally allowed? And what excuses are you going to give us for letting your child's abuser back into the same home as him and putting your child in danger again? Neither of them should have those boys. No, absolutely. Neither one of them. Jason's uncle gave them an ultimatum. Whoops. Hang on. I'm trying to read. To what few people know, if you leave Shanny, he could go back to the uncle. Yeah. I wonder. I don't know. I haven't personally heard anything about what happened with the uncle or what the uncle has had to say. But, who knows? That should have happened with the apartment with What a Mess. Yes. From what I understand, the reason why the boys weren't taken when they came to Pennsylvania was because it was a different state CPS. So because the CPS was involved in Colorado, and I guess whatever didn't transfer to Pennsylvania CPS, I don't really know. That's just kind of what I'm guessing, because you'd think that any CPS organization from any state would have looked at that apartment and been like, we need to keep an eye on these folks. You know what I mean? Uh, why does it keep holding messages for review? Come on now. I'm one of many examples of how you can have a fucked up head, but you can still live a great life and function as an adult. Yeah. And then there's lots of us out there, Demon, that do that. Like, I myself am an example of that as well. I have a very happy, healthy relationship with those that I love, even though I suffer from a very debilitating mental illness. So it's possible. And again, Shani's just feeding into the stigma that us with mental illness have to deal with, that we're just incapable of functioning in any type of society, and that we need to be locked up in order to be helped. That's not true. CPS here wouldn't allow him back in the house regardless. Yeah, exactly. Like, if there was assault, there was actual assault, that then until the investigation was done and all of that stuff, Rev wouldn't be allowed near those boys. And if she broke that and did allow him back, then those boys would be taken in an instant. I heard she dodges GPS. I can read CPS because she refuses to let them in. Yeah. And I mean, like, if the police are mandated reporters and did have to go into the house, they would be able to see the state that that house was in. So let's hope that there is a lot of legal CPS involvement in the future for those boys.
Sick, and he's gone through enough. Like, he's gone through a lot. Like,
what about what your boys have gone through? Where is the empathy and the sympathy for what your children have had to deal with? Why are you giving a shit about the man that supposedly beat your son and not your boys? Like, that's a bad mom right there. I'm sorry, but that's terrible.
you honestly like think that someone who's dealt with alcoholism and went sober and had to deal with wet brain and all this other stuff, you think they're going to end up like mentally well? You think someone who ended up losing his mother and ended up 5 years as pretty much a hermit, not talking to anyone, not communicating with anyone, do you think they would be normal? Like, nah, man.
And then on top of that, having to live with you and you antagonizing him and you abusing him. I mean, at this point, she's just making excuses for Rev. This is just, she's trying to find ways to justify what he did. Like, feel sorry for Rev. He had a terrible life. He went through terrible things. He's had to deal with so much and he's mentally ill. So let's forgive Rev for what he did. Like, that's disgusting.
If you hermit yourself and isolate yourself, you lose the ability of how to communicate correctly with your fellow man and
no, you don't.
And how to deal with that. You know, this is like real life fucking shit, dudes. Like, this is psychology. This is how you fucking deal with shit.
Very odd that she's obviously more concerned with what will happen to Rev instead of her child. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She's trying to find and garner sympathy for Rev and find a reason and justify, hey, I'm going to forgive him and allow him back, rather than standing up and protecting her child.
In the real world, you know, you don't, like, man. And not only that, it's like motherfuckers nowadays, they can't even like empathize. They can't even put themselves in someone's shoes and be like, well, if I was in that situation, how would I fucking feel?
If I was in your situation, I can tell you exactly how I would feel. Rev would be rotting in jail and he would not be allowed near my children ever again. I would not be making excuses. I would not be trying to sympathize or empathize or make people feel sorry for him. I would put my child's well-being and needs first instead of some man that supposedly beat them. You know? And like, I mean, the one that verbally abused them on live in front of how many people? You know, we've seen both you and Rev verbally abuse your children live. So, I mean, no sane adults do that. No loving parents put their children through that. And yet here you are, Shanny.
You know, if you were in my situation, how would you fucking feel? Like, do you
That's why I think she did Rev dirty somehow. Oh yeah, and she absolutely did Rev dirty. She totally took advantage of Rev. But that also does not excuse Rev for his behavior. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she took advantage and she spent all of his money. She verbally abused him. She's physically abused him, but that still doesn't justify supposedly beating her children. Like, that's just, there's no excuse for that. My brother's the same way. My niece got into a girlfriend's methadone and she almost died. He cared more about his girlfriend than his kid. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's parents like Shanny that just don't prioritize their children, and they're so codependent that they can't imagine living without their spouse, but they're willing to forgive absolutely anything, and that includes putting their children at risk. And that's disgusting. Comrade's right. Oh, about CPS being piled up and backed up. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they need more funding. They need more people. There's just too many children out there that need help, unfortunately, and they can't keep up.
Like, human beings, do you have the ability to put yourself in my shoes and actually empathize?
No, I don't. I don't empathize with your situation, because there's nothing about what you're saying right now that I would agree with as a parent. I have 3 children. And if my husband, the man that I'm married to right now, who is not the father of my 2 oldest children, put hands on them, there would be no excuse in the world that I could come up with that would justify what he did, or that I would forgive him. Because my children come first and foremost, over everybody. And the fact that you're sitting here making excuses for Jason, and you're trying to get everybody to feel sorry for him, and it's almost like she's asking her audience permission in a way to set them up for the fact that she's going to let Jason come back into her life and her kids' lives. Like, she's already trying to justify him coming back. And that's really gross. Like, I mean, if you thought that she was a shit parent before, this just gives her like the award for worst parent ever.
That's what I'm truly wondering, because I think it's a sad state of affairs in this world when people can't fucking do that, and people can't seem to fucking think and correlate. Maybe a family needs time to think things over. Maybe a family needs time to mourn and to grieve and to process everything that's happened.
Again, she's just making more excuses for physical abuse. And this is just downright disgusting behavior, because no loving parent would do that. And I mean, this just kind of solidifies what we have all known for the last couple of years, that Shanny just does not give a shit about her boys.
Maybe that would be good.
And maybe if you don't want people making judgments on what you say and do, maybe you shouldn't be blasting it all over the internet. If you really valued privacy and you really wanted time to process and deal with this, then why are you on live? Like, really, why are you on live?
And see the real people come out. Like I said, like, thank you for showing me your true colors, because I don't want you in my life if you're gonna fucking judge me, and you're gonna fuck everything, and you're gonna judge everything that's going on.
Okay.
Because you don't fucking know what's going on. You don't even know how they fucking feel either. That's the thing. You don't know how anyone feels. Like people act like they haven't gone through shit before, and I guarantee if you've gone through shit, you'd actually do things properly instead of doing things what's best for everyone compared to what's best for you. I'm trying to care for everyone right now and trying to do everything I can. I'm a single mom doing the best I can right now.
You've been a single mom for 2 days. And you were whining and crying about it. Like, come on. You were panicking because you had to take care of your children by yourself. The sad part is there is abuse on those kids, and it's likely the kind an alleged paramedic can see on the surface level and has more lasting damage. Oh, absolutely. 100%. Like, I came from an abusive home. And while there was some physical abuse, it was mostly emotional and mental abuse. And as somebody that has experienced both, the mental and the emotional abuse absolutely leaves much more lasting damage. And those boys are. And those boys need to be in therapy, and they need to be away from her. And she wants to sit back and have time to process, what supposedly happened to her children. And I mean, it really boils down to a black and white issue. Like, if Jason did actually put hands on your child, you should not be allowing him back in your home. That's just, you shouldn't be finding excuses, to justify what he did. Feel sorry for Jason. He's mentally ill. He didn't know what he was doing. That's ultimately what she's trying to say. And that's just not going to fly.
And I'm asking for people to stop assuming shit, for people to stop putting rumors out. I'm asking people to respect me and my children and allow us to grieve and process shit.
Then stop putting all of your details online. You shouldn't be going live then and telling us all what's going on. If you really want privacy, then keep it private. But when you're blasting everything all over the internet, people are going to have opinions on the way that you handle it. That's just the way it is. Don't put it out there publicly if you don't want people's opinions on it.
That's what I'm truly fucking asking. I'm asking people to stop trying to send me offers and fucking money to exploit my family. I didn't say what I said to exploit my family. I said what I said because I know it would get out there, and I'd rather have control over the situation than have.
So I wanted to get out there and put out my story first before everybody else found out the truth. Because we've already seen inconsistencies in your story between yesterday and today and what's actually in the police report. So she knew that she was going to have to put a lie out there in order to help try and do some damage control, and it's not working in her favor.
Others exploited, but see, they jump on
she wants attention.
like little freaking hyenas onto a gazette.
She can't get charity if she doesn't put it out there, though. Oh, absolutely. You know that she's exploiting this situation for herself.
And just constantly laugh and poke and bite, thinking it's all funny and grand, like it's a big fucking joke, but it's like, this is life. This is life.
You're a big fucking joke. You're a big fucking joke, and you're a terrible person. And we need to point that out so that people know what kind of terrible person you are. And hopefully, ultimately, let's hope that this gets back to CPS, the way that you behave, and something is done and those boys are helped.
I'm going to be protector mama here.
You're not protector mama.
And ask people to stop exploiting my life and my children's life. That's what I'm going to do. Like, you motherfuckers out there, you want to say, I empathize for your children, I feel bad for your children. Really? Then why are you trying to exploit their situation if you actually cared for them? If you cared for my children, why are you constantly trying to? Because
we're trying to advocate for your kids. Because we're trying to get it out there so that somebody actually does something about it. Like, if everybody sat back and kept their mouth closed, who's going to stand up for those boys? Who's going to step in and make sure that those boys are safe? Because you're obviously not doing it, right? And CPS hasn't done it so far. So maybe if we make enough noise, CPS will have to do something about
it. Stop their mother from making money so she can support them.
See, and again, it just boils down to everybody stopping Shanny from making money. Zero accountability for her own behavior that caused her accounts to be, suspended on YouTube. She can't take responsibility for her own behavior.
And try to put wedges and relationships to damage them. Like, if you actually cared for my boys, seriously, if you actually fucking cared for my sons, you would make their life into a living fucking joke.
Who's making their life a living fucking joke? That would be their mother that plasters their abuse all over the internet. Nobody forced you to broadcast Rev yelling and threatening Zachary on that car ride. No one forced you to try and push William in front of the camera and then proceed to scream at him while you were on live because you were mad at the internet people. So you are doing this to your children. You're doing it very publicly to your children. People are going to have opinions when you broadcast child abuse. And, I can't say that people didn't think that this was going to happen. We kind of saw it escalating to that point. You know what I mean? Like, seeing the conditions that they were raised in, knowing that they were being neglected, seeing all the signs of them being neglected, and then seeing them abused while on live stream. So the fact that Rev supposedly was arrested for assaulting your boys, like, this is an escalation of what we've been seeing for the past 2.5 years. So who's exploiting their children, Shanny? That would be you. Get a job, Shanny. She could work from home.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Absolutely.
Like, you
I've
think
been
I'm
saying
fucking
that for
dumb?
months.
Like, here's the thing with real stream news, he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and he goes ahead and says, I'm your friend. No, you fucking aren't my friend. You know why you aren't my fucking friend? Because usually when someone goes through a tragedy, the first thing that usually doesn't come out of their mouth is, I want to make you an offer. Okay, Mr. Godfather, Mr. Mafioso. Now, usually if someone truly is your friend and cares for you, the first thing they say when they know you're going through a tragedy is, are you okay? They don't offer money. They don't try to exploit the situation. They're just like, are you okay? Is your son's okay? How are you? Like,
now notice how it's all about Shanny, right? It's first and foremost all about Shanny. Is Shanny okay? How's Shanny doing? How's Shanny going to cope? How's Shanny going to take care of her boys? You know what I mean? Like, it's always Shanny first and those boys second. And that is really disturbing.
how are you processing? What's going on?
She can't point the finger at others' struggles with mental health, but can never point the finger at herself. Oh, yeah, she can't take accountability for anything that she does. She can't. And then she hides behind her mental illness and uses that as a crutch. Except for porn. She already showed that she, oh, yeah, ooh, gross. Free brain bleach on. I don't even think brain bleach, Demon, would solve that problem.
That's what friends do. That's what friends do.
There will be an enabler coming
now
in
offer
and
them
sympathizing with her.
$300 to exploit a horrible situation.
Do you have a timestamp for that so that I can take a look?
That shouldn't have happened because of mental health.
Ooh,
and I'm proud of my sons that they can recognize the difference between someone having a mental health crisis and actually being vicious and malicious.
Oh, you mean like how Rev threatened to shoot you if he had a gun, kill you and your boys, and was begging to go to the hospital, and you wouldn't let him go?
You motherfuckers can't. I guarantee you can't distinguish the two like two young men can. You can't. Because you're too busy being angry all the time. You're too busy trying to poke holes in a situation and exploit it.
No, you mean pointing out the plot holes in your story? I mean, they're pretty obvious plot holes here, Shanny. It doesn't really take a rocket scientist to say, hey, that doesn't make sense.
And try to make it bigger than what it is and deeper than what it is. Straightforward. You want to try to look like a good guy? How are you a good guy if you're going to fucking exploit a family when they're going through a tragedy? How? I don't know. I haven't looked into anything of that. So, whatever. I'm playing shit by ear. And that motherfucker better not fucking have like emailed me again. Because I'm fucking done with him.
Oh,
like these people, they don't even know how to fucking respect people.
That's what friends do. Weird. My friends point out my stupidity while I'm being a dumbass. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what real friends do. Real friends are like, hey, I love you. You're my friend, but you shouldn't be doing that. Like, there should be a level of trust between people that consider themselves friends that you can point out when they're doing something wrong. And unfortunately, I've been friends with people like that before where they can't take criticism whatsoever. I had somebody on Facebook. We were really, really close friends for 10 years. 10 years. And she got into a fight with somebody else on my Facebook. Wasn't with me. I wasn't even there when it happened. But she got into a Facebook fight with someone. And because I didn't agree with her, that ended our 10-year friendship. because friends to her and people like her means that you have to agree and side with them at all costs. Doesn't matter if what they're doing doesn't make sense or is not right. You got to be ride or die. And if you're not ride or die, then you're out the door. And I just don't agree with that. You know, like if you're my friend, I trust you enough to tell me when you think I'm doing something wrong or I'm not doing something right. You know what I mean? Like that's what friendship is, that you trust each other enough to be able to be honest and critical of each other's behavior when it needs to happen, you know? But, you know, some people just don't see friendship that way. And obviously Shanny's not one of those. Like she
Like
never
these motherfucking
exploited her
people,
own
they can't
family.
fucking
Oh yeah,
respect people.
absolutely.
They can't respect people's like privacy or anything like that.
What privacy? You broadcast
Yeah,
everything.
keep listening to dumbasses over the internet. Like, so fucking dumb. I told you when it happened. You can go believe what they fucking try to fucking lie about. Yo. Fucking idiots. Like, you ain't exploiting my situation, and you don't have a right to ask fucking questions. And especially when those questions revolve about a lie, you'll be blocked really quick. I don't need you in my life. I have no need for you in my life. Just remember that. Just remember that. Like, you can go believe fucking lies. I told you when shit happened. You can go believe
well, see, Shanny, the thing is you have been caught in several lies several times. And you have shown us that we can't believe a word that comes out of your mouth, sweetheart. You know? So, I mean, what do you expect? People don't believe you. I mean, when you sit there on camera and tell us something didn't happen, and yet we have video footage of you actually doing what happened. I mean, we can put two and two together and figure out, hey, Shanny's not telling the truth. So why should we believe anything that comes out of your mouth? You created this situation on your own, honey.
the false documents that you're shown. But like, the dude hasn't even been arraigned yet. Like, idiots. Fucking morons. Like, go ahead, walk in your little naivety. You know, be naive.
No one's being naive.
Like, you go like, and seriously, you're really showing your ass by saying, oh, we looked at the documents and stuff like that. Like, you're really showing your ass. So like, you're that fucking crazy that you're like pulling up documents and shit, but they're not even real. That's the crazy shit. They're not even fucking real. So you're just being nice.
So is she trying to claim that the arrest records for Jason are not real? Because she understands that that's public data, right? Like those are available publicly. You can look up people's arrest records and what they're arrested for and arrest date and all of that stuff. Like that's all publicly available knowledge. But apparently it's not real? Okay.
Naive, listening to liars trying to exploit a situation, and that's okay too. Because I really don't fucking care. It's none of my fucking business at the end of the day.
This coming from a woman that had an animated diagram of what sciatica is and tried to pass it off as an x-ray. Like oh, she's so stupid.
You know, believe what you fucking want. You can go believe in a delusional lie. That's you, not me. I'm living in my reality. Thank you very much. Which is the real reality, not some skewed up version for, you know, clicks.
2413 for the enabler. Okay. Let's go 2413. 2413.
You ain't let the demons loose.
That's right. That's right. Like it's like fuck it. I'm done.
Is this Gary? It's so dark I can't see.
Like I said, you need to let him know about the grace of God. That's the only reason why you ain't let the demons loose.
That's right. That's right. Like it's like fuck it. I'm done. I'm done with these stupid characters trying to fucking exploit me and my family like that, man.
It's been done for a while, Shanny.
It's been a while, right? And the funny thing is, the only reason why you would know that you existed is because your haters did these exposés, which basically I think you need to get a lawyer and sue, because there's whole channels dedicated to just talking shit about you. And in any other circumstance, that would be like defamation of character, if not no.
That's nothing. You can't sue for that, honey. Number one, you can't afford a lawyer to sue for that. Number two, discussing the truth is not something that's illegal. Talking about somebody that posts every aspect of their life online is not something that's illegal. You know, It's so funny how these people think that, well, this person said something bad about me on the internet, I'm going to sue them. That's not how that works, right? Like, defamation has some specific criteria that needs to be met if you're actually going to sue somebody for it, right? Like, there has to be monetary loss. There has to be an outright lie. And unfortunately for Shanny, when people call her out on her lies, they have the receipts to back them up, right? So it's not like anything would actually be held up in court. You know, like whoever she decided to sue, like especially somebody like Drag or Jules, they have all the receipts of what Shanny has said and done. And her case would be laughed out of court. And she would be out the course costs. Like, for example, if somebody tried to sue me, I would have all the receipts, and then they would be responsible for the costs of my lawyer and going to court. You know, like you would be responsible for that. So if that's what you want to take on, go for it.
Less, if they're making money off of YouTube, off of basically taking your image and talking shit about it, you should be getting paid for it.
Amen.
And like I said, the only reason why I noticed that you existed is because they were hating on you. I'm like, okay.
Part of me suspects this dude is a troll. Shanny has a history of falling for fake simps. Yes, just like Gary fell for the fake lawyer. Yeah, like I kind of got that vibe as soon as he started talking. Like this is somebody trying to gas Shanny up. And I mean, like it's not like it wouldn't be the first time it's happened, right? People have tried to butter up Shanny, and because she falls for it so easily, to get intimate details about what's actually happening. So
let me go check this out. And I'm a fanboy for Pretty
fair
Girl.
Use. Yes, exactly. It's called fair use, and fair use laws exist for a reason. And that protects people that sit and review content and makes commentary and shares their opinions about other people's content. So like Shanny doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to suing people.
So I was just like, okay, I don't know what they're bitching about, but whatever. And
Yeah.
I said, I became a fan. We've talked, and I'm like, you're like non-judgmental. Before,
oh my god,
shit lost his mind. He was cool too, and really, there's been no drama. And like, it just amazes me the level of dedication they have put into just.
I just realized that I still
giving
have
you crap. Like, I've seen live streams of them just talking
up.
shit with videos of you playing in the background. I think they want to all tag you personally because that's the only thing I can think of for this.
I am a terrible pro streamer. Oh my god,
much obsession over one person.
Guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like them preachers that they're talking about, like they hate gay people and all this here, and then you come to find out that they're actually gay afterwards. They just like in the closet, set the closet on fire. It's one person I heard on TikTok trying to burn everyone and themselves at the same time because they can't admit the truth, because it doesn't make any sense, the level of BS. And like hours. I mean, I've seen over 50 plus videos in some like playlists of them just talking shit.
Yep.
Exposés and this and that and the third. And it's not like at this point you should have your own reality TV show, because as much as they like to talk shit and do all these things, you might well just get some.
There is no network out there that would give Shanny her own reality TV show that wouldn't experience backlash and criticism for giving her a platform and money for a platform. Like that would be like suicide for anybody that decided to do that or offer that to her.
Some form of payment. I say you get a lawyer and sue the hell out of everybody.
Oh, that's in the works. Don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. That's in the works.
With what money, honey? How are you going to retain a lawyer? It's been in the works for what, 2 years? You've been talking about suing people for 2 years? Like, come on now. You're just lying to yourself, sweetheart.
You know, that's why I'm letting them, talk shit.
Because after a while, it's like cyber stalking, which is now technically a crime, and it's like makes no sense. I guess the only benefit is that you get more people to check you out because they're giving you so much foot traffic. They're like your own private PR team.
I'm a better streamer than Germania. Ooh, spooky. That's not putting the bar very high, is it? I'm just kidding. I love Ger. Okay, I love Ger. Her theme song for her sitcom would be the song "This Must Be Living." Oh, yeah, right.
That this is what their stupid shit is. This is how fucking dumb they are. They're trying. They like pulled up this like false document claiming that Jason got arrested on June 4th. No, he didn't.
No. See, and she can't even get the story straight. The document that was shown, which was Jason's arrest record, shows that he was arrested on June the 8th. But the incident happened on June the 4th. So you got to get it right here, Shanny. So that means that there was 4 days in between when the incident happened and when Jason was actually arrested on June the 8th.
And why do they? The thing is, why do they even care?
Like, here's the thing. I don't know why me changing the date would be like, why would I change? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I say it happened this time and like when it's really another time? It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Now, and the thing is like they sit up here and they do all this, right? And what they don't know and what they don't understand it is people are going to be naturally curious to hear about who this person is.
And see, if she doesn't really think these things through. So if that arrest document was false, Shanny, then how would Frank be able to request the call, the 911 call, or the call to the police? How would he be able to request the body cam footage? Like, how would that be possible? How would he be able to further request that documentation, which he's already done, if that document they showed on Geek Room last night was false? Like, she doesn't really put two and two together. And when, if Frank does get a hold of the call, she's just not going to be able to deny. She's going to. But Shanny just likes to pretend that evidence doesn't exist. Like, she just conveniently doesn't remember when she's just full of shit.
And everything else. And if they're BBW lovers, they're going to be like, oh, she's really cute. I need to see what this is about. Let's see if all the hate is true. And then we watch you and see.
Did he really just say that BBW lovers are seeking out Shanny? What? Ew. Like, I mean, I get that there's BBW lovers out there. That just opens a whole nother can of worms. But trust me, there's no BBW lovers that are looking at Shanny going, yeah, she's cute. No, they're looking at her going, I bet you can smell her from a mile away.
Your street and everything else, and you're just freaking adorable playing Animal Crossing all that. I'm like,
this is why Shanny's such a bad liar.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. The makeup is on point.
Thank you. Like, Carrie made a good comment. Like, how could he have streamed if he was in jail then? Doesn't add up. Yeah,
Rev's
exactly.
Bail is $5,000. Oh, I thought his bail was only $500. And I knew that they wouldn't be able to come up with that. But $5,000? Yeah, there's no way. There's no way anybody is being able to post the bail for that. Oh my God. I'm sure Shanny hasn't seen $5,000 in years.
Exactly. And they're like, why did your son call when it happened 4 days ago? Like, what?
So the story behind that, or the theory behind why that is that the incident happened on June the 4th. And speculation is that Shanny didn't want to call the police. And because the incident happened with his brother, William was trying to press Shanny to call the police. And when she refused, William made the call himself because she would not. So that's why there's a time gap in between when the incident happened and when the police were called and Jason was actually arrested. And that makes sense. That makes sense that Shanny wouldn't want the police involved because she probably knew that getting the police involved also meant getting CPS involved. And that would mean the boys would be taken away with CPS involved, hopefully. But with the boys being taken away, that would also mean that the money that she's getting from the government right now, like for EBT and all that, would be taken away. Right? So if CPS removes those boys from her care, she's not going to be getting as much EBT money as she was before, or any other type of assistance that she's getting right now, because that's the only money that's coming in. And that's a big danger to her. She doesn't want to lose money, right? She doesn't want to risk her paychecks getting reduced because the boys were taken away from her. Yeah, that's big scary for Shanny. 500 is the 10%. Oh, hi Glitchy, how are you? No, it's 10% if he wants out. Okay. Well, why would they make... Okay, so I never really understood the bail system because I've never been arrested, so I don't really understand. But if they post your bail at $5,000, why would they let you out on 10%? Like, why not just set your bail at $500 then if they're going to let you out on that? I don't know how that works. 5K would have been her DoorDash and game money for the week. You're right. Or that money could have saved for that expensive mic. Oh, Jesus, yeah. They will only do the 10% deal if you have possessions for collateral that will cover the rest. Okay, Dinah, that makes sense. Plus, there's a dangerous food price rise that's been happening. Yeah, exactly. It was funny because I think it was Bran last night on the Geek Room that said that Shanny's the only person that he's ever seen that's gained weight while being this poor. But
point is, why does it even fucking matter what date, whatever happened in your own personal life? It's like, who cares? And even if all the stuff is true, why are you gonna highlight this person, right? And
why we want to highlight this person is because we want, number one, to show what a garbage person she is, because she keeps trying to build a platform and grift people for money, right? So we want it to get out there so that they can stop scamming people for their hard-earned money when they see how terrible they are. Because that's what Shanny and Rev do, right? They grift. How many times have they been on camera begging for money for food for the cats, for the boys, for clothes for the boys, for Shanny's medication, for Rev for cigarettes? Like, that's all that they do, is they come online and they beg people for money. And, you know, if these people that are willing to give them money actually took the time to find out what kind of shit people they are, they wouldn't support them that way.
let more people know that they exist, so other people could potentially be sucked in. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's all, if you don't want if this person like yourself is as evil as everyone says, right? And you're doing all this bad shit, why put it out on the internet that everybody can see, and then have people who are going to be naturally curious come to you? If you don't want anybody, if they have this issue, they would give you less foot traffic. They would do less.
Yeah, Rev is getting 3 square meals a day. Yeah, that was another thing that was said. I think it was Billy that said that he's probably gotten the most calories in the past 2 days than he has in the past 6 months. Didn't Rev say something about CPS having a food pantry? I don't know how that works. Because again, I'm in Canada, and I don't know how the U.S. system works, but I would imagine, or at least I would hope, that the American CPS would have a program where if there are families that are in need, that CPS is involved, and you know, food shortage is a problem, that they would offer some kind of service to help make sure the kids are fed.
Those eggs, they would do everything to make sure you don't get any airtime whatsoever.
Exactly. Like, they work way too hard to get people to hate me.
You have
to be actually hateable.
We don't have to get people to hate you, Shanny. We don't. I mean, if somebody watches my videos and thinks, hey, I like Shanny, I want to support her, all the power to them. But I'm allowed to share my opinion on you. I'm not telling anybody what to do, say, or think. But I do think it's important to showcase awful people like you, so that, unfortunately, some innocent people out there don't get sucked into your lies and end up costing them money because they want to support you. Like, that's just gross.
You actually have, I don't know, I forgot what the name of the site. There's an actual full page dossier on you. On everything you ever done.
Jail may be better for Rev. He gets more than 2 bites of a sandwich per day, and he can actually poop. Yeah. And that was another thing that was brought up, because there's 2 weeks between now and what his court date is, right? So that's 2 weeks to detox from alcohol, from drugs, from Delta 8. He can actually, get a shower, get clean. He might have like 3 square meals a day. You know what I mean? He'll be in a routine that he'll have to follow. Like, jail for somebody like Rev might actually really be a good thing, because he has a roof over his head, and he doesn't have to deal with the abuse of Shanny every day. He might be able to get the therapy that he desperately needs. He might be able to get the medication that he desperately needs, So jail at this point is probably a sanctuary for Rev.
And I'm sort of like, God damn, they worked at the CIA and NSA. I'm like, all this for one woman? And
he's going to fiend for cigarettes? Oh yeah, absolutely. He's gonna go nuts. And he's not gonna be able to make any friends to get cigarettes.
For like multiple like plus size women. I'm sitting up here like, wow, just wow. Like, people need to know, these people have gone to the extent to build entire forum pages discussing this one woman and everything that goes on in her life.
Doesn't that seem a little crazy to you? Like, to me, it seems crazy. It seems like, how do you find the time, or why would you dedicate so much time to that shit? Like, I don't understand it.
There's a lot of people on YouTube that make a lot of money off of discussing you and discussing what a terrible person you are. Oops. Dear YouTube, please stop being a pain in my arse. There we go. There you go. See, upgrade. Yeah, exactly. It's an upgrade. Oh my goodness. Shan. Oops.
I would never dedicate my time, like that much time to someone.
But
they
you
have
do,
literally
Shanny.
archived everything
You have to
in your
drag.
life. Everything. And I have looked through it. I'm not gonna lie. There was some plus sides, which I want to thank them on that one there. Just made me be more of a bigger fan. And that was basically what I looked at. I'm like, dude, like I should actually thank them for this, because like I would have never known you if it wasn't for these dipshits.
I know, right?
See, and that then calls into question what kind of person you are, that you would support Shanny and see all the things. That means you didn't really do your research and really check up on her. You don't know her history. You don't know what she's done in the past. And the fact that she's right here talking about letting Jason come back after beating her child, you're like totally okay with that. What kind of person does that make you? That's kind of gross, dude.
Like, we wouldn't even like be friends, like, if it wasn't for that shit. Like, and I'm grateful for you to be in my life, because you're an awesome dude.
She didn't have any friends.
Like, I mean, I try. I've been having a lot of pain
what jail
issues.
Did he get sent to? I am not sure, husband. He's in Scranton, so I'd imagine it would be somewhere close to Scranton. I mean, if you're really interested, I could take a look and see if I can get a better shot of the arrest record and see. But that should all be public information, right? Because that's kind of how public records work, I think. Let him keep talking. I'm convinced he's fucking with her and laying down the bait. Yeah, that's kind of the impression I'm getting too. But I don't know. Wouldn't that be interesting? Like, has anyone ever seen this guy before? Do we know this guy's name or where he came from or where Shanny found him? He will probably have to go into PC. Yeah, protect. I'd imagine that Rev being in jail, he's going to, because he's so used to just being able to say what he wants, and whatever falls out of his mouth falls out of his mouth. And he's going to be in jail and say something and say the wrong thing to the wrong person and get his ass beat. You know? And someone's going to teach him a lesson in there. Because there's children involved, Shanny, pooper dinger, because you scam folks. Yeah, yep, exactly. She's a parasite to people. And, I mean, we should be exposing parasites like this. Frank couldn't get the booking photo, which is odd. I think he put in a request for it. I'm not sure. Because, I mean, he's supposedly, what's today? Today's the 9th, right? So he really was only arrested yesterday. So, I mean, maybe it's not fully available yet. I'm not sure. I'm all for being proven wrong. I'll even apologize for it. I'm just seeing some signs here. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I question people that support Shanny or, you know, are friends with Shanny. Like, I mean, we all know why Gary's friends with Shanny, because he's just batshit insane, right? He's off his rocker, so it kind of makes sense that the two of them are buddies. But this dude, I do get kind of the impression that he's gassing her up, but I really don't know. I can't really say either way.
Because they pretty much hurt all the time. I had to go to the doctor yesterday for a Toradol shot, and that knocked me on my ass. And my dog Serby, he's in the bedroom with me at the moment, but I gotta let him out because
that's right, TOA.
My friends got diapers for him, but I'm just too tired and too out of it to do anything. Like, I got video games out the wazoo. I haven't played any video games. I've done a bunch of debate on TikTok, but that's about it. And I try to keep my social media like stuff down to low, because once you start making too much content and you get noticed, I've noticed that everyone gets some form of hate speech and this, that, and the third.
Well, yeah, if you put yourself out there, you're going to be scrutinized on your behavior. And if you're a shit person, people are going to find out and call you out on it. And I've seen it time and time again. Like, there have been some big creators on TikTok that people really thought were good guys or good people in general. And now they don't make videos anymore because the truth came out about them. So, I mean, that's a risk you take when you put your shit out there. You know, so either don't put your shit out there or you have to deal with the consequences of your behavior if you get called out for bad behavior. Simple as that.
And it just becomes like an ongoing battle. So I just stay in the shadows pretty much and just do my thing and then disappear. Like, and they're probably recording this right now discussing how she got a new fanboy. Yes, I am a fan. And yes, I think she's hot, despite what all y'all fuckers say. So y'all can all fuck off. And they can talk whatever shit they want because I don't really care. And yeah, and pretty soon I know I'll have a dossier.
So this is interesting. So if we go for the theory that he's possibly trolling her and gassing her up the way that he is, I wonder if this is somebody that is trying to weasel his way into her trust to get her into like a relationship, kind of like what she, you know, like Rev's replacement. And then to just kind of spill it out like, haha, gotcha. We just were trying to get the intimate details. I mean, there's people online that have actually done that to Shanny and she keeps falling for it. So again, he's gassing her up. I think she's hot. I really like her. I'm a fanboy. I support her. He's saying all the right things that Shanny wants to hear and validate her feelings. So what if he is actually trolling her?
Oh, me as well. Talk about how she got a new fan. He's a black guy. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, go on about your business. My digital footprint is huge because I've been on the internet. I've been on the internet so long that my first password was 3 letters. That's how long I've been on everything. So they try to track me down, go round the head, don't even care. My life is
screw the fact that your boyfriend's in jail for beating your son. She's online here flirting with someone else the very next day. Like, how heartbroken is she? All right, guys, I have a little one that is telling me that she is hungry. So that tells me it's time to make dinner. And it is, yep, it's 5 o'clock. So it's time to feed the child. My husband is done work and will be on his way home soon. And we've been streaming about this for an hour and a half. So I think what we might do is we might pick this up again either tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Today's Thursday. Yeah, we might pick this up tomorrow or Saturday. But this is getting juicy. And of course, if there is any other details, updates, I will update you guys. But yeah, this is interesting. There's a lot of holes here. There's a lot of questions, and I think this is going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. See you later. Yes, I will try not to be away for as long because I mean, I didn't stream for what, like 2 weeks because like I said, we've just been busy. The weather's been beautiful. We've been spending a lot of time outside. I have discovered that I like burning things. So like every night that we haven't had rain, I've been outside with a fire, roasting marshmallows, doing that kind of thing. And it's been fantastic. But I will try to get back to streaming some more. And definitely we're going to keep updated on what's happening with this whole Shamu situation, right? Still putting my money on troll though. That'd be actually pretty good. Pretty good. I'd give kudos to this guy for pulling off a scam like that because that's dedication to the trolling, I would say. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I promise I will see you guys soon. You're all wonderful. I love you. Be safe. Bye, guys.